Hello, my name is Sabrina Magro, and I chose to do my unit on geometry, second and third grade. So there will be standards for second and third grade within the unit. The title is Shapes. And I wanted to say beforehand, the students who may need some extra help throughout this unit, they will have a teacher aide alongside them as they choose to participate. That way, if they do need help, there's a teacher aide to make them feel a little more comfortable and as they can do it with someone alongside them, as well as me walking around with my to check in on the students and see where everybody's at and just assess them as they're working. Okay, so we're gonna go into two-dimensional shapes. If it'll work. There we go. My internet sucks. I'm sorry. Okay, so the standard is partition a rectangle into rows and columns of same size squares and count to find the total number of them. The objective is students will know how to solve for the amount of mini cubes within each shape and what smaller shapes can make up for the bigger shape. So fun with shapes. So the students will need construction paper, markers, blank paper, tape, and a pen. It should look something like this. The students will draw shapes and cut out the shapes made, and then write the name of the shapes on the cutout color, as just like right there, rectangle, rhombus. Then they will tape it to the paper of the shape that they traced. So they will also be tracing it to place it where they want it to go to make it 2D. The tape will make it 2D by putting it on, it pops out a little bit. Once completed, the students will count the area within the shapes to find how many cubes make up that shape, or how many smaller shapes make up that shape. Like a rhombus could be 2 triangles, and a rectangle could be 4 squares, and stuff like that. So then we'll move on to, what was next? Comparing two-dimensional shapes. So for this one, students will need the two-dimensional shapes worksheet and crayons, and as well as 2D shapes themselves, like the blocks. Students will complete the worksheet and use the shape blocks as a reference. So they will have the blocks in front of them, and they will be blocks of actual shapes. That way it allows for a visual or an in-depth look at the shapes, making it easier for them to see the angles, the different faces they have, everything, and allows for a closer look. And then final popsicle sticks, that way they have a little more hands-on experience. So the students will need popsicle sticks, glue, markers, and they will be making 2D shapes with these sticks. And then they will write the name of the shape on the stick. That way, while they're gluing, they don't lose a stick and start to freak out. They know it belongs to the rhombus or it belongs to the square. And once they're done, they are going to do the same as before. See what shapes they can create out of the big shapes they already made. To figure out how many shapes create one big shape. And then for the exit ticket, it'll just be a wrap-up where the students will be asked to reflect on what they have learned and how the manipulatives given were helpful in improving their learning experience. So they will be writing this exit ticket on their own piece of paper and turning it into me on their way out, allowing me to see who may need extra help or what manipulatives were given that helped or didn't help and what I could bring in next time, and it'll help both of us, me and the student. My internet's not the best. Alright, so we're moving on to three-dimensional shapes. Let's go. Thank you. Alright, so the subject standard. Partition shapes into parts with equal areas. Express the area of each part as a unit fraction of the whole. This one just shows them that there are pieces that make a whole. And then the students will know how to decipher a 2D shape from a 3D shape as they learned 2D in the first one, while also understanding each part together creates a whole unit. So characteristics of spheres. Students will need a 3D sphere, paper, and pencil. Students will write down everything they see from the sphere they are holding. So this will just get them familiar with 3D shapes. And I thought, why not start off with a sphere where there's not as many, well, there isn't sides at all, making it to help them get comfortable and making it a little easier on them. And then after completion, students will share amongst their groups, because they will be amongst their group their findings and add any new findings from their peers. So they will be getting into groups and discussing this, which allows for communication. And yeah, so they'll have a physical sphere so that they can look at it. And then building 3D shapes. Students will need mini cubes, paper, and a pencil. Students will be directed to create as many 3D shapes as they can with the mini cubes given. And then students will write down the shapes they created. And with the mini cubes given, they are going to count how many cubes they needed to create those shapes, helping them solve for the area of the shapes they created. So that one's just a hands-on experience while using manipulatives as well. I'm very sorry about that. And then we are going to go to a taco shape craft. Wow, I cannot talk. Okay, so students will need color paper, cutouts. So it'll be cutouts of like toppings of like onions, lettuce, meat, cheese. Markers, glue paper. Students will cut out the taco meat, cheese, onions, like I said. And then students will glue everything together to create the taco of their choice. So they will put whatever toppings they want into their taco. They're not going to glue the entire things that they cut out. It's what they choose. That way each person has a different taco and can document how many each shape was put into their taco. And then it allows them to see that there are different shapes, and it shows here that they can write out what shapes they got, and just a fun experience. And then the exit ticket. Lastly, students will be handed an exit ticket. This one I will hand them. And it asks 2 questions. I used to think, but now I think, based on 3D shapes. Once answered, they will hand it to me on their way out. So this helps me see how far they've come from what they used to think and what they think now, based on geometry and shapes. And it'll allow me to figure out if we need to spend another day on it or if this activity was helpful in general. Alright, so we're going to the next one. We are on identifying polygons. Sorry, does not want to. It's my first time using Prezi, so I'm still getting the hang of it. Okay, so for the subject standard, understand that shapes in different categories, rhombuses, rectangles, and others, may share attributes having 4 sides, and that the shared attributes can define a larger category. Recognize rhombuses, rectangles, squares as examples of quadrilaterals, and draw examples of quadrilaterals that do not belong to any of these subcategories. So the objective is to demonstrate the ability to interpret the shapes and their different categories, as well as recite the various names of each shape. So the greedy triangle. Wow. I don't know what it's doing. I'm sorry. Let's go. We're going to go into the greedy triangle. It'll let me. Please go. Go into the triangle. Thank you. Okay, so after reading the greedy triangle, the students will be handed a t-shirt within their groups. One side will say polygons, the other will say non-polygons. As a group, they have to decide what shape from the book will go under each category. And then they will share as a class why they chose to put one under polygons and one under non-polygons, what shapes they decided to choose, and so on. Then it'll be Polygon Bingo. I felt like they needed a group activity as well, so this one's a little cool. In that station, they can have up to 4 people, maybe more, and one person could be calling it out, or I'll be calling it out, and it'll be cool. A little more non-dependent. It'll be non-independent. It'll be more dependent. So students will need bingo cards, shapes, markers. Students will be directed by me or on the student, depending on the shape and number of sides given. If they have one, they will mark it off with their marker and continue until bingo is called. So that one's a little different from the rest of the activities. The other ones are kind of, they get to put their creativity into it. This one is more of a game that they can play with friends and their classmates, allowing for that cooperation and a little more communication. It'll be fun. And it shows me that they can work in groups. And then polygon sort. So it's like the other one, but this one has a polygon template, a cutout glue paper, and students will cut out the polygons and non-polygon shapes and glue to the sides they believe it goes under. So this one they will be working independently, and the other one they work in groups. This one will show me, because they will be working alone, that they do know polygons from non-polygons. And the other one was just a warm-up for them to learn, just so that it shows me that they know. And I felt like group with that one would be a little easier at the beginning instead of just pushing them into one alone. So yeah, and this one allows them to cut and glue just to get a little more hands-on feeling, while the other one, they were just writing it or drawing it. Yeah. And then the exit ticket. Students will be given this handout asking what is the 2 most important things learned during this lesson. So it's going to say what is the most important and then what is the second most important. And I thought that seeing what's most important to them would help me get a feel for where they are and where their thinking is. And it allows them to reflect back on what they did. That way I know that they were present in what they were doing. And they will hand it to me on their way out. So it'll help push them to get it done. I think we're on the last one, yeah. So learning angles. It'll go in, I'm very sorry. Thank you. Okay, so the lesson plan, the subject standard. Recognize and draw shapes having specific attributes such as given number of angles or a given number of equal faces. Identify triangles, quadrilaterals, pentagons, hexagons, and cubes. Objective of lesson. To know the name of shapes and their attributes as well as the number of angles within each shape. So craft the angle. Please go. Come on. Thank you. So students will need cute design tape. So the students will need cute design tape. So it'll be like this one has smiley faces, but I'll bring the design tape in and I'm so sorry. And they will choose the designs that they want, making it a little more for them, designed to their liking and unique. And then they will need markers, ruler paper, and markers, ruler, and paper. I'm sorry. Students will use the tape and ruler to create their own angles. This one shows mainly triangles, but I would push them to make rectangles, squares, anything they can think of, rhombus, trapezoid, anything, because I want to push them outside of their box and see what angles are within those shapes. Because so they will be challenged with creating as many different shapes as possible, and then finding the angles within the shapes by using the ruler, the protractor, and using that to figure out the angles that they will be writing within the shapes with the markers. Alright, what's next? Next, we are going to fun with sticks. Come on, go. Please go. Thank you. Alright, so students will need popsicle sticks, poster paper, markers. I decided to use popsicle sticks again because we could reuse the other ones. So I thought that'd be pretty cool instead of going. It also saves some time with crafts and stuff. So students will create their own shapes focusing specifically on the angles. This one just shows angles, but I want to challenge them to create shapes and then within the shapes figure out the angles that are present within those shapes. And then they will write out the shape and the angle created and the measurement, and the name of the angle, like obtuse, acute, and then they're going to write the measurement of the angle. So that challenges them as well. And then name that angle. Students will need an angle worksheet, which is this one right here, a pencil, and 3D shapes. Students will use the 3D shapes as a reference to complete the worksheet. So they will have 3D shapes that will have each angle of these. So they have a physical example of what they are looking for, and it'll help them have that hands-on feeling as well, so they can get a little more into the learning and have some fun. So it's not all worksheets. And then they're going to fill this out as they're going. And then lastly, the exit ticket. Thank you for working. Students will fill out an exit ticket asking what they enjoyed today and did not enjoy. This allows for me to have an understanding of what I can use next time to help their learning be a bit more interesting. This allows me to really see if they did like that. That way I know what other activities I can gear towards that next time to grab their attention, or what they didn't like so I can try new things. That way I know if my students aren't being involved or aren't too interested in it and aren't willing to be involved. So it helps both of us. That way they enjoy it and I know they're enjoying it. And that's my unit. I hope it looks good. I worked very hard on it. Thank you.